Hello you guys, and welcome to Abundantly Minimal. My name is Sarah and today is day 18 of Minimal May. I'm really excited for this video today because we're going to be talking about how my husband and I have managed to sell some of our old stuff online and make about $2,000. Today I want to share exactly how we've done this, what we've sold, and hopefully give you some tips so you can decide if you have items you'd like to sell, and maybe this is even your motivation to get going on that. Now, one thing I do want to say to start off the video is that even though the selling process can be very exciting here, it does take some work, and it's still much better that you never buy certain items in the first place than to think you can make money selling them. So what I mean by that, we've made about $2,000, a little over that actually, over the past 2 years selling our stuff. However, if those items were never purchased in the first place, we would have had a lot more than $2,000. So even though it can be exciting, I think evaluating our own shopping habits and the stuff we're buying first can be important. And that's not to say we didn't get value out of these things or these things were required to purchase along the way. But just keeping that in mind, I think, is important here. So before we get into the video, if you are interested in simplifying your life or living abundantly with less, we'd love to have you here as a subscriber. During the month of May, I'm putting out a new video every single day this month. So if this message resonates with you, I'd love to have you here. And you can also follow along more at abundantlyminimal.com. So let's get to the good stuff. What have we sold? Well, there's definitely been a variety of items, basically things that we have no longer needed the use for. If we have to put them in subcategories, books were definitely a major category, especially college books. Also, for my husband, he had a lot of video games when he was younger and other unopened toy-related things from childhood, and those have been big sellers. And then other miscellaneous items that come into your life at different points. Now, let's get to the process. How do we decide what to sell? First of all, what we'll do is simplify things and minimalize, declutter our possessions. As you're decluttering, you might find certain items you don't have a use for. These are items that you can look into selling. So for Amazon, for instance, something that we'll take a look at is, does this item currently exist on Amazon? If so, how much is it being sold for? And you don't want to look at just the new price, but what are the used prices selling for? This will be a good starting point to decide if it's worth it to sell. Once we've taken a look at the prices that these items are selling for, then we can start to make an informed decision if it's worth it for us to sell. Now, depending on the item, you have to think about shipping. Standard items, and especially in the case of books or video games, these items are fairly light to ship. They may qualify for media mail, especially books, and that can help keep your costs down for shipping. So when someone's paying the $3.99 for shipping that's built in, that's realistically what it's going to cost you to ship, or maybe even a little bit less. You also have to think about the packaging of them, how you're going to package them. And I think it's also important to think about how close a post office or shipping facility is to you. We're fairly lucky right now. It's pretty easy to get to a shipping facility. And there's also one that's open till 10 p.m. at night. So that really works with our schedule. So even if something does get purchased, it doesn't inconvenience our schedule. Even though we want to make some money if we can, our main goal is to get the item out of the house. And so we will try to match lowest price or become the new lowest price on these items. And this is something you have to kind of evaluate and try out. Now, one thing that we have noticed in general, and especially this is using Amazon since that's where the vast majority of this money has come from. On Amazon, they do take sometimes a pretty hefty fee. I don't know the full breakdown of exactly how the fee gets calculated, but what we have found is that you want to make sure your item is selling for at least $5 to be able to get some reasonable income from it, ideally more than $5. We have found that once you deduct the fees involved, if you sell something for $5, you make a profit of about $1 to $1.50, which doesn't sound like a lot there, but most of our items do sell for more than $5. So the fee can be a little bit annoying, but it is fairly easy to list your items on Amazon. It can be as simple as you look up the product, and sometimes if you have a seller account, you've got a little blurb on there that says have one to sell or sell yours. Click on that and it's a fairly easy process from there. So especially for college textbooks, I found this to be a really great option. Especially if you graduated fairly recently, you'd be surprised that you can still get decent money from putting your items up on Amazon. Like I said earlier, the video games was also an area where we received a lot of money. Some of these games, they're small, and I was never much of a person into video games, so I don't really know all the details, but These games, some of them we've sold for $30 to $40 just for one game. And these could be things that haven't been played with for years. So these are really great products and places to start. Now, sometimes you look at a product and there are people selling it for 50 cents or less, or something really small. In those cases, we just think it's best to donate the item or see if you have another person to give it to. That helps us narrow down the amount of items we're listing. And also, thinking about when these items do sell, you'll have to get them ready and packaged, so then we have sent them off. Also, like I said earlier, if there are unopened childhood toys or other related items, especially if it's kind of a collector's edition, those can sell really well. And we've had a couple of things, some old Lego sets that Jake had from childhood, one of which sold for $250. So it's really exciting when these sort of things sell. And that could be major income that you had, you wouldn't realize it just with these items lying around the house. Now, what about eBay? We don't have as much experience with eBay. We've only started eBay the past couple months and have sold, I want to say, around 10 things on there. It has not been as lucrative, and it does seem to be a little bit more of a hassle, but it does seem like the fees have been a bit lower per item, but there's more wiggle room sometimes. We've put things at a buy it now price in general, and not really looking at auctions, just because, again, you have to think about the different layers along the process. And if you're putting your time into things, then you want to make sure you're going to get rewarded accordingly. It's really important when you're selling online, I think, to have patience. And so know that you might have to have something that sits online for 6 months before someone's interested, especially if it's a smaller good. However, other times you can be really surprised. You put something up and then within days or even sometimes within hours, it's sold. So it's just kind of something you have to play around with, I think, as you go. If you're specifically holding on to things that you want to sell in the future, I would encourage you to examine that. I know I'm not really personally into antiques and collections, but if you are and you're kind of holding off thinking you're going to sell them at some point, I'd encourage you to start looking into that process now. I think one of the unfortunate truths of human nature is that sometimes we maybe think that the items we have are more worthwhile than they actually are. We're motivated to hold on to our stuff because we hear about, people going on Antiques Roadshow or whatever the shows are, and it's this garage sale treasure that's actually worth millions, and we think, well, what if the stuff we have is like that? The truth is, most of the items we own are not going to ever be worth millions or thousands or even hundreds of dollars. It's very rare that something is worth that much. Even if it's something valuable, trying to get it to the right market or the right place to sell it, I feel like could be something that's really exhausting and, to be honest, unrealistic. None of us know how long we're going to be around and how long we'll have these things. That's one reason why I'm so passionate about selling my own stuff and encouraging others to sell some of their stuff, is because you might as well, if that item's not serving you, you might as well sell it now and get it out of your house, maybe collect some cash instead and move on with your life. Now, I personally don't have that fancy clothing attire, but there are different opportunities for selling your clothing. I personally have not had much success with those or actually even tried them, so I guess I can't really speak on behalf of that. But especially starting with books and or other different types of media, games, etc., that could be a great place to start. One other point I want to make too, if you have items that are unopened, even if you bought them a long time ago and don't have a receipt, sometimes you can actually have luck returning them to various stores and retailers. Walmart, I think, does a great job with this, but also I've had luck with Target and some other stores like that. There have been items I've purchased even several years, like 3 to 4 years ago, that just this past year I returned and was able to receive a gift card to these places. Obviously, you're going to have to do this in a bit more of a gradual way, as they'll typically scan your driver's license and to prevent you from doing this too often. But I actually had several old printer cartridges, ink cartridges from a long time ago, and my parents actually kind of helped out with that because I gave the stuff to them, and they actually were able to get about $30 back for each ink cartridge, even though it was a couple years old. Same with a HDMI cable just a couple weeks ago. I had it, I bought it thinking I would need it. I never did. I left it in the packaging, took it to Target. I got $19 back. And to be honest, I think I bought it on Black Friday and definitely did not spend $19. So what's very interesting, again, I'm not trying to abuse the system, and that's not what I'm encouraging here, but just see if you've got items that are unopened around your house, I mean, might as well, if you don't mind taking a trip to some of these places. You never know if you might be able to have some success with that. And again, everything you can get out of your house and get some money for it, I feel like is a success. So that's a little bit about the process of how we have made over $2,000 selling our stuff online. Hopefully some of this was helpful for you today, and maybe you even have things around your house that you think, now that she said that, maybe I want to try it. I hope so. I hope this inspires you to think about this. But regardless, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, we'll have more Minimal May videos the rest of the month, as well as other videos going forward. So love to have you here as a subscriber. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.